Just a quick reading for just en route for Cancer, and this is for June 2023. So it's really just a check-in, just to sort of touch base and see where things are at. So what I'm looking at here is I do see that you are coming up to an end cycle here this month. Like I said, I don't know, I can't recall what the other ones were, but I think they were all sort of in around that same sort of idea. But basically, where things are at right now is there may even be a new job coming here in this next short little while, because I do see that something new is starting here with the Ace of Pentacles, and we also have the Hierophant as the clarifier. So again, I'm just going to do a general synopsis, and then I'll tie it in here later, flesh it out a little bit more. So the Queen of Wands is, you sort of standing in that power, using resources, using a lot more of your personality, I would say, in this month. And you're coming out, you're looking really good in the way that you're presenting yourself. There's a certain sense of authority, but not in a commanding way so much as in a coming off in a more soft but strong sort of, I don't know how to put that exactly, but a strong, silent, I would say strong silent type, but it's not even quite that, because there's more exuberance here. But definitely somebody who's coming off as more of an authority in this month anyway. But your personality is starting to show up here more with the Queen of Wands. Some of you might actually be dealing with somebody who's a Queen of Wands kind of energy here, and I'll go through all of that a little bit too. But for the most part, it does look like you are dealing with some people here that are in around a business area for sure. And again, it feels like there's something that's in regards to a new job or a new start, or something that's a new project, something that's bringing in some kind of a new idea, well, I wouldn't even say passion project just yet, but it is making you quite happy for whatever this new project is. It's moving you in the right direction. I'll get into sort of the romantic part of it a little bit, but for the most part, I just try to stay in sort of a general mode. But for the most part, like I say, I do see that you're using your resources quite well, in terms of money, and your energy and your time is all being put out in places where you feel like you're investing in something here. I do feel like this has been a bit of a burden here, but you're in this cycle now this month. It's you finishing up something. This is really the almost the and you're all on different timelines. So some of you it's going to finish up in June, others it might trail out a little further, but there's definitely the energy here of you working through end cycle energy, because the World card indicates that there is something new up ahead. You're about ready to go into a new shocking sort of turn of events here. The Three of Swords, and as well with the Tower, these are actually your advice cards. So I feel like, you needed to have this, I hate to put it in quite this way, but it's almost like you needed this shakeup and able to learn something, with this heartbreak, this betrayal, this emotional pain. It's almost like you needed to see this kind of loss, around your heart space, or and certainly there's conflict here as well with that Tower. It's almost like you needed to see this happen to allow yourself to, you know, kind of shake up something within yourself. You needed to actually see something within yourself. Maybe it's seeing your own power. Maybe you were trying to identify too much with another connection or something like that, or perhaps even a job in some case here as well, because there's a lot of the energy here. But it's almost like you really felt that you've had to, because I'm just going to put it this way, the Tower as well as the Three of Swords as advice is really letting you know that you need to let go of something. For sure, I mean, this was an unexpected kind of shake-up, heartbreak, event of some sort that has, kind of left you, I would say, emotionally devastated, because it's taken its toll on you emotionally in terms of your heart. I mean, the impact was quite significant, but this is a time for you to reevaluate, where your sense of strength is, and what it is that you feel was important to you. Because somebody else didn't live up to a certain standard, job or otherwise, doesn't mean that you are not in a space where you have because now you know what you want, is what I'm getting at. If somebody couldn't live up to that particular space or that particular value that or belief that you have, you wouldn't want to coexist and keep that going, because otherwise that just reemerges and all the same feelings come up. And it also brings up all the feelings about, everything that you ever thought of yourself in terms of any weaknesses that you might have arose during this period. That starts to tear down one's sense of self. So I think what you're being challenged here with is, it's a development that you need to take the time and realize that whatever this difficulty was that you've had to face, allow yourself the time to grieve it, but also realize that it's you who has to support you fully. It's nice to have support people there for sure. And if you can rely on that, and there are some there, I mean, obviously that is something in your corner that is helping you to work through this change. But I feel like, this was a message for you that this painful experience is something that you needed to heal, the vulnerable parts of yourself. So, if you weren't aware what those were, now I feel you are aware of what those vulnerable areas are. And so this is the cards that are making you aware that grieve the loss of what was, but be aware that where you're headed is so much more amazing. You have the 10 of Cups. This could be a new person that's coming into your life, although if it is, I would say it's not really in any developed space yet. It feels like this is somebody who would make you happy down the road, just in that space though of starting to associate with somebody, or just perhaps this is somebody new that might be coming in, or somebody that's new in your arena, so to speak, and you're making some consideration to this other person because there is some level of interest here, is what I would say. You are somebody who's still very strongly committed. There is very strong committed energy to both your finances as well as, your heart space. I don't feel like it's really taken you away from, seeking out support and those kinds of things, or even, it's not taking you away from going through the difficult time, but it is also, saying something along the lines of, whatever that major loss was, the significant change is allowing you to move into a very happy space. And I feel like that's because you're really getting clear on what you were vulnerable with, and you're strengthening those areas. So I see money is a part of that strength, a strong commitment, to your money projects. There's a lot more energy and I don't want to say enthusiasm, but just you're drawing attention to yourself this month for sure, or in this space, in this week. Or again, however it resonates for you. This is just more of a June check-in. So whenever it draws attention here, it does seem like you are drawing attention to yourself in some way. And it does look like it's in a favorable way, because the 10 of Cups is really, it's a happy time. Something here is coming in that's making it feel like you have a little bit of support and you have some happiness that's going on here in this next short while. So I feel it's important to acknowledge your pain, but also realize that you're moving through that now. So this is where you actually can be encouraged to let go of all of that pain and all of that unstable ground, because like I say, this is a place where you're starting to realize all the spaces where you were vulnerable, and it's not that you're hardening up so much as you're making changes to those areas, so that you can trust again. So if you had a weakness in your finances, that's where you now realize, okay, I need to build this area of my life up, enable for me to get what I'm looking for. And even with the Hierophant energy, this is a very strong committed energy to both a project or a business, but it's also that energy of you're embracing what lies ahead. And just because you went through this period over here where things were unstable, it happened because you have to have the lessons are that you need to strengthen certain areas of your life that you may not have been aware of. I think in some cases you may have sort of fallen into a level of trust without analyzing some of the, it's like blind faith in something, blind love, or blind, blind to certain things that really were very important to you that you were overlooking in a situation, perhaps romantic, or again, even in business. It's like you just weren't aware of the things that were important to you because you were blinded by a particular quality that someone had, or someone was making you feel good about yourself, or whatever. So again, this is a challenging period, but it's also growth and development that's coming with it. So it's you taking time to acknowledge that pain, so that you realize where you've got real true supports, thick or thin, who's actually still there, despite all of the changes that have occurred in your life. That's something just to be mindful of. So there is no real big major arcana here, except for further out. So again, I feel a lot of this transitory energy that's taking place, introducing some new things into your life, is something that's kind of happening in a very slow, methodical, practical way, because the Ace of Pentacles is showing up in your practical world. So it's around you, it's in your, it's not something that's kind of spiritually motivated. You're all about, sort of the practical energy here. Again, even with the Hierophant, as well as with that Ace of Pentacles, this is a really strong connection to, things that I feel represent a lot of tradition. So, you could be moving in the direction of spirituality, and tradition with, religious values or anything along that line too. But I see most of this as practical energy and putting in a lot of hard work. So I would say for the majority here, for whoever this resonates for, I feel like there could be more influences here, possibly even more along a feminine energy. It doesn't have to be a feminine person, but certainly it is feminine quality in terms of, I don't want to say feminine quality, it's maybe not quite the word, but it's energy that's coming out where there's a softer speaking person, or softer but energetic, and yet very grounded sort of kinds of people that, or again, female energy that's coming through here, that I feel like you are starting to realize that there is some kind of a framework there. It's a traditional framework. Either way, that you're focused on as well, and that you're drawing your knowledge and your your practices from. So how you're going forward. So again, Ace of Pentacles is that card representing that material abundance and prosperity and success in your own right. So again, it's more along the lines of, it's not a page where you're just getting communication. It's actually something that's moving ahead. So again, it's a job of some sort, or some new money-making idea that is kind of coming to mind that you're actually taking some kind of action on. I also feel like there's a certain level of manifestation coming through here. Like I'll get to that as well, because I had some advice cards that I pulled out as well that I'll pull into the reading here in a minute. But either way, I feel like this combination is giving you an idea that you're on a path to success of some sort. So there's definitely some opportunity that you're aligning with, that kind of thing, and you're really starting to find a certain level of balance in your world here. And again, even when we get to the Queen of Wands, so again, I still feel like this is a person that's coming through here, but I also feel, for sure it's your energy and you drawing a lot more attention to yourself with that Six of Wands. But I still feel like it's a conquering kind of energy as well. So it's along the line of you getting a little bit of recognition, somebody coming up and saying, hey, I didn't realize you did a really good job there, and I just want to let you know. It's something like that. It's not big major arcana, but it does sort of speak to, I just want to let you know you're appreciated. What you've done is, pretty good here, that kind of thing. So Queen of Wands energy for sure does still speak to somebody who's quite independent and creative, or at least has some kind of level of leadership and confidence. I would say more so confidence is what I feel you're exuding at this time. And it definitely speaks to, owning your own kind of title, your own personal power is coming through, because you have this, you actually do have a certain sense of belief in what you're doing. You do believe that you can conquer. You do believe that you can make something happen. And so because you're unafraid to sort of pursue your dream here, it's giving you more inspired energy, and it's allowing you to kind of push forward because you have more of a deeper connection with, with your energy, that your energy is starting to return. So again, success and achievement are also a part of that combination. all these cards speak to, all of that recognition, opportunity, and, definitely getting some kind of attention here. But you're inspired to pursue your dreams, courageous and hard work for sure ahead with the Ten of Wands, but you're definitely in the mode of making something, come to, well, I hate to say come to fruition, but it's really the case. So Queen of Pentacles, that is the energy. Again, there is someone here that's really practically minded. I feel like for the most part, this is you, because there's so much energy around Pentacles where you're really focused on, going after your Ten of Cups, going after your level of happiness. So this month, and especially in this next short while, I feel like there is a real sense that you are feeling a lot happier in the direction that you've chosen. I do feel like, I mean, for sure, there's a bit of a cost in that you're going to be putting out a lot of energy here, but I feel like that you're starting to feel better about yourself anyway, is what I would say overall. But I feel like you're a little on the burnout side of things. You're feeling like you're worn down physically. Again, that Queen of Pentacles energy is still nurturing, caring person that's around you, somebody who's grounded and practical, and it definitely speaks to, again, a lot of confidence in this reading, a lot of confidence, but it's almost like it's a little more subdued, quiet confidence, because I feel queens aren't, I mean, you're drawing some attention to yourself, but it still feels like queens are more pulled back kind of energy. Kings, I feel, because I feel like the queens are using more of their resources, they're coming off as, leaders because of the way in which they are using their resources and showing up, with a certain quality of maturity, that kind of thing. So there is also, like I said, I feel like you need to have that tradition in your life here as well at this time. I feel like you are that helps you to feel more secure. I definitely feel like this is, again, somebody who's coming through here that is allowing you to feel more confident, because it's somebody who's resourceful as well. And I feel like even though you are resourceful here and you're really, moving in this new direction with a certain degree of maturity and fearlessness. I don't want to say full-on fearlessness, but you're feeling more bold in moving ahead. But it definitely feels like it's more of a stable home, secure environment, all of that. And it definitely speaks to your finances improving for sure this month. I feel like I said, with the Ten of Cups and that Queen of Pentacles together, there's a lot of end cards here, as again with the World card and the Ten of Wands, but you're just moving into that energy because these are the clarifiers with the Ten of Cups. So again, it's still signifying a really happy time, more positive, and you're finding some happiness in this period. I feel like you feel love and support, and and that you're actually making a difference here this month, or in this short little bit here. It feels like you are starting to get some blessings. There's something that's coming through that's making you feel like you can appreciate, or that you are appreciated, and that's creating a certain level of happiness within you. And I feel like that is allowing that fulfillment to come through here with the Ten of Cups. So it's just being grateful for everything around you here in this month, or in this period anyway, as well. Again, when we get to the Ten of Wands, I mean, that's still that energy of, I'm a little on the burnout side. I've really had enough of, this old cycle. I need to move on. And that's where you are. You're in that space of, I'm done with the old crap, and I am, or an old job. And I'm really in that space now where I can understand where I'm headed, and that I do have a direction, and that I do have a sense of responsibility up ahead here, but I am feeling the burden of that responsibility. I am feeling the challenge. I am feeling that burden and the pressure and that feeling of exhaustion. There's a certain level of burnout that kind of goes with this here as well, but it's almost like it's worth it to you, because you're finding so much good in it, in taking on these stressful situations, that it's really moving you to the next level. You're ready to move on to that next level where you are going to find more balance and harmony and all of that. So again, I feel like the journey of this is, you're still in the cycle of some of that energy, but it's just a trace amount of it. You're kind of still kind of going a little bit cyclical with, like, you're still going over it in your head a bit. But you are opening up to a new phase of life. And this is definitely where the struggles were worth it, because it is going to create balance and harmony, and certainly a level of happiness that's coming in right here. So again, regardless of your feeling of overwhelm. Be aware that you are facing these responsibilities and the determination with a really strong sense of, resilience. So just to kind of wrap it up here and just kind of give you a little bit more, especially when we're kind of moving into the space of the Ace of Pentacles. Again, this is where material possessions and those kinds of things are focused for you. Can also represent autumn being a very specific time of something here that is again, around a lot of strong tradition or responsibility that is around, could be government or something that you're dealing with. But I feel it's more on a personal level in terms of a big corporation or something like that, something that makes you feel like you've conquered and accomplished something. So autumn may be relevant for some of you, but again, there's a lot of stability and a lot of abundance in this period for June that you're starting to see. And I feel like that really helps you to connect yourself to your health as well, because it feels like you're just taking more time and attention to build a better foundation for yourself. And I feel like your nutrition and all of those things, proper diet, nutrition, are all those things that are coming in here. So I feel like you're starting to pay attention to these things. Again, I feel like more of the focus is on your material areas. It might still be relevant in that you have some tie to an emotional situation, but even if it is, it's still materially oriented. So that's still something that is kind of supersedes whatever romantic notions you might have. It seems to be your primary focus. So again, it's on new business or a financial opportunity or something there where you're having to accrue more long-term security. And you've just moved into this direction. So in the month of June. So in the month of June, you may have just started a job or something like that, but it is still something that is empowering you in a certain way. So it's allowing you to feel like you can build on a plan, build on a dream. You're doing it in such a way, like I said, with the Hierophant, you're doing it in such a way that you're doing your strategy is in structure. Your strategy is in tradition. Your strategy here is in trying to do things in a way where you're following the rules, where there's a lot of, if there's restrictions, you're, playing by the rules. Like it's you being within an organized, in an organization where you're following through with an established way of doing something. So again, I still feel like there is, a very slow moving kind of energy here, but I still feel like you're incorporating your ideas into a structured format. So this is not something that your professional life seems to overpower everything else, and you're trying to be very organized in the way that you move forward. I don't feel like you're going to compromise yourself anymore. I feel like this is where you were before, and I feel like you compromised certain things about yourself or what your belief systems or your values were, and now you're aware, I'm not going to compromise because I do want certain things in my life. And it doesn't mean that somebody else was good or bad in this situation. It's just and that's where it's that level of acceptance has to come into a situation, because it is just their journey, just as you're on your journey. But it does, bring to attention that yes, it's sad that something had to be released because it didn't have the expectation that you were looking for, but it's you realigning with your own values and the things that are important to you. So you're going to put your time and energy into you right now, and again, that helps you to, when you do find the right situation where it does meet up with your expectations or your plan, where somebody is sort of on that same trajectory, then you will realize that you have a better, it's an easier road because you don't have somebody working against you. You're actually more in line, the two of you be more in line, whether this is professionally or in terms of a relationship, you'd be more in line to, follow the same stable, down-to-earth, practical strategies, and invest in the direction, invest in the home, invest in the project, invest in a particular goal. I do feel like I say, there could have been that there's some nutritional deficiencies or something that's kind of at play here also with that Hierophant, or that you didn't feel like you had, I don't want to say emotional support really, because that could be part of it, but I think most of it is when your body feels better, you do better as well. And I feel like when you're more committed to healing your body, you're, attracting what you need is where I see you headed right now. And I just feels like there's a lot more, that you do have a strong immune system. You just need to tweak things and keep it going. And I do feel like, even in terms of, like I say, the Queen of Wands, that energy is, empowering and connecting you to, um, connecting you to a person, or again, a part of yourself where your ambition is returning. And it kind of feels like it's in along that line. Um, Kind of spiritual warrior as well. Like, you've got the Queen of Wands is that energy of somebody who is, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm going to jump right in here and make a difference. I know that I want something. Aries, Leo, or sorry, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, it would also be sort of prevalent with that card. But it's also someone who really wants something. It's a mature energy. And I feel like it's a very conquering energy. That's where you're at. You really want something. So I feel like you are in that space, like I said, where you've got more of a business-like mentality, and I feel like you're conducting yourself in that way. You want to present yourself in a way that is more focused. Lots of ideas are coming through for you at this time. And again, there's still that energy of, your health is improving here, because I feel like you're paying more attention to those kinds of things. And I just feel, like I said, there's a lot more energy and enthusiasm that's coming through. It's kind of that carpe diem, seize the day sort of energy, with that, especially with that Six of Wands here. And again, this is just the clarifier, but it's still pretty amazing energy. So you really feel like you're making a difference, and that's what counts. So again, it's not major arcana. These are all sort of the smaller players here, but it is still speaking to getting what you want and getting a lot more attention than you were before. Because the Six of Wands is really drawing attention to balance and health, and it definitely speaks to, feeling more triumph over any challenges that you were faced with. And again, you're so close to the cycle of completely ending up into this new cycle. I see tens here, 10 of Wands, 10 of Cups. So the burden is worth it for you, and that's just where I feel you're at. Like I said, Six of Wands definitely speaks to a victory that you've made here this month, in possibly a job situation or something along that line. But you've achieved something, and you're getting some kind of acknowledgement for it. Like I said, Six of Wands creates some sense of balance in a situation. So it's a victory card. It's definitely, feeling a lot more. I'm ruling over any obstacle that's coming forward. I'm just going to take it on. I've got a lot of drive and ambition and desire, and I have more belief in my own abilities. And again, if that's just you achieving a job here in a corporate sort of atmosphere, or more of a hierarchical kind of situation, or to do with tradition, you've accomplished it this month. So again, I still feel like I don't feel a lot of big love energy here. It does feel like you're really focused more on your finances, and that, I feel is what you feel will, help you to rise in value because you're bringing more to the table in a love situation. So, and I feel like your career is starting to flourish here. So there is some definite forward movement here. Like I said, even in terms of your health, all of that is starting to, to improve all over the place. When I get to, like I said, the Ten of Cups, it could very well be that there is somebody here that is, really making you feel quite happy. That is this, mature, maternal kind of energy. But it is bringing about a certain sense of, that was nice, or that, that you can trust in that person, or trust that there is something there in that connection. Because Ten of Cups is, feelings of strong foundation as well, right? And it's something that has more permanence, more emotional harmony. It's more emotional connection to someone, and I would say it is a female, most likely, or again, more of an energy of someone who is softer in the way that they approach you. But it definitely speaks to a lot of high level of fulfillment and security all around. But I definitely feel like you feel safe and protected in this environment for the period of June. If you are creating some kind of new connections here, I do feel like these are connections that you can rely on. And I mean, at least in this month, I mean, people can change over time, but given the certain set of circumstances I see here, I feel like everything is fairly secure, and there's a certain sense of embracing kind of family connections here as well because of the Hierophant, maternal energy, and definitely with that Ten of Cups, there's something that's making you feel like, you're very connected to a person and a process, that kind of thing. Ten of Wands energy, like I said, just to kind of wrap it up. I mean, these are end cycle cards. Ten of Wands, Ten of Cups, but it's not the swords anymore. It's almost like the conflict you're giving up on. You're just not willing to waste your time and energy in that space. I don't see any swords here. Again, this is just the advice, is getting over all of that. But what I see here is, like I said, the Ten of Wands is the burnout energy of, oh my God, I'm still standing kind of thing, like I made it through. And it's really, that space of, I'm ready for the next challenge, bring it on kind of thing here. Because the World card tells me that you are ready for something entirely new. Could be considering, I don't want to say travel. I don't really see Six of Swords, kind of those, that usually speaks to travel for me. But I would say that, you could be talking to people abroad, that kind of thing, that are helping you to sort of feel more centered in some way. But again, I feel like that energy of the World is bringing things around, back to a space where you feel like you are empowered again. The World is really that card of, sorry. The World is really that card of new beginning. You're just about to create a new start for yourself where you can actually, your world is going to open up here. This is going to be a period of growth for you. And again, it's still the card of self-actualization. You've really gone through everything full circle. You now know what you want, what you're not going to compromise for, on. And you have a more accomplished attitude. You know that, you need to build yourself up so that you are stronger in a connection, because waiting for someone to love us just as we are is great, but we also have to love ourselves enough that, when we merge into another connection, it is something that is not one of need, but it's one of feeling like you want to be a better person when you're around someone, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a measure of, it's a measure of your own balance, really. You are seizing attention, like I said here, but it's because you are leveling yourself up. So in other words, you're not letting old patterns sort of hold you back here with that card. And then moving into the World energy. So just to finish it up here again, Three of Swords, that energy still speaks to done with the conflict. Again, your advice was to let it all go, Three is about expressing it as well. So expressing it in a healthy way is what I would say. So, so that you can sort of accept it and synthesize things, that kind of thing. Refine your plan here to move it into something that has a better foundation for yourself. And again, like the three of Swords is still you kind of fumbling with some of that conflict, but for the most part, it's really just tying up almost the loose ends of a situation. So it's still got some blocked emotions that you're kind of working through, that kind of thing. But I still feel like this is a place where you are finding, or at least in the space of trying to find a way to forgive yourself or another. And you pretty much have to forgive, because if you don't, if you don't accept it in whatever way, it doesn't mean that anybody was wrong or right specifically, because sometimes a situation creates a wrong, so because there has been something that wasn't quite right. And so whatever the wounds were, the quarrels and the upsets, it's because something needed to, something on a deeper level had to trigger enable for there to be a compromise, or enable for there to be a new start, or enable for there to be a new situation that took place, whether that's moving on or moving forward, but you needed some kind of momentum behind that, and it required a pain. If nobody if there was no pain ever created, then there was no situation that was going to change. So somebody wasn't happy, or both parties weren't happy, and something had to get rid of, whatever the disappointments were, or whatever the unproductive parts of a situation or connection, business or otherwise, were. So this really had to break down some walls, get into the vulnerable parts of yourself, so that you can not just grow thicker skin, but it's also, releasing your part in it, realizing that if somebody needed to grow in a certain way and you couldn't facilitate, then they need to push away, you need to push away, and and either find yourselves and then merge, or move into that space of harmony comes from within first before it comes into a group situation. I'll read something else later too that I read, and it was kind of an Osho book, and I don't know, you don't all have to stay for that, but I did think it was kind of interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of switch this up here and move this into the cards of these were just advice cards that I'm pulling out here, and this one is Manifest. It was actually clarified by Seek the Truth, or sorry, Seek the Truth was clarified by Manifest, so maybe I should put it in that direction so it's not all over the map here. And then we also had Detach, and that was clarified by the card of Shine. So I'll just kind of go into these ones here. So seeking the truth means, obviously just that, trying to find a part of yourself here that see the things that make sense to you. Don't allow yourself to stay in a space of denial. Well, I really liked this, but I didn't like that, but I'm okay because I liked this. Sometimes, it's finding a level of compromise for sure, but the other person also has to be a part of that picture. And again, it's more about beliefs and values and whether those things line up versus, just our wants and needs. The deeper level stuff is where it really matters the most, because that's the stuff that matters over the long haul. When we get to seeking truth, again, it's, following your intuition, of course, and all of that, but it's also about looking for the things or the areas of your life where you might have glossed over areas that you thought were acceptable, but you were really avoiding, an issue or a feeling or a private sort of thought about somebody's motives or your own motives. Because when you don't seek the truth, there is a vulnerability that will arise in you, and that's usually when there's the conflict that starts, right? So it's a kind of a one-sided energy if you're not out there trying to... We always want to be understood, but if you can seek to understand someone else, then it's a lot easier to understand where things connect for both of you and where things are too far a divide. And again, whether that's business or otherwise, it just feels like this is where you would be avoiding obligations or responsibilities, really what the card sort of, brings about. It's looking at your role in a situation. So seek the truth, and again, manifest. Very grounded energy, most of it here with the black borders. That is a card. Those are cards of grounding. So when you manifest something, you're trying to get clear on your path as well, and you're also trying to focus so that you can create something and then you can act on it, because manifesting is using all the tools at your disposal. So it's about, using the intuition. It's about using your practical mind, using your ability to be wise in a situation and certainly put it into practical use in the real world. So it's, and emotionally being connected to yourself so that you are supportive to yourself unconditionally, because looking for support outside of yourself is fine, but the problem is as soon as that person takes it away, you fall apart. So you really have to be your own best friend. You really have to have a certain level of focus on you for a time, build up you, that kind of thing. And I feel like that's where you're going to make the most difference, is where you work the magic inside. And that creates the clarity that you need, because you're understanding yourself on greater level. So when we get to the next card here, again, detach. I almost feel like you have to, this is about, you know, pulling away from situations that aren't useful for you. You know, this is where you're reflecting. This is where you're, again, getting clear on what's your responsibility in, you know, to yourself, to your goals, to your dreams. How do you create a certain level of fairness for you as well as those around you? So in some way, you might be detaching a bit here from the ego, is what I would say here, and able to see events clearly, because if you're allowing your ego to be the thing that's at the forefront, it doesn't really allow you to gain clarity, because the ego is always telling you, you don't need this, you didn't want that, how dare they, that kind of thing. The ego gets in a way to, it gets in the way to support, you know, sort of a cyclical sickness, you know, emotionally. But this is really where you actually have the chance to understand yourself and improve yourself by detaching from the ego and saying, you know, allowing for a certain level of acceptance. Yes, this person or this job, you know, was helpful or useful in this particular way, but it's no longer the case. So again, it's bringing about a certain level of acceptance to whatever actions or decisions that, or conclusions that you've come to. But again, releasing the ego to be able to do that. So you have to kind of, you know, look at the situation on more of a global level, like in a larger scale, versus, you know, micromanaging all the small stuff. Because if you start looking at all the small stuff, that's also the time where things really don't get, you don't detach from the small stuff. The small stuff just keeps you running on the hamster wheel. When we get to the Shine card, this is again believing in yourself, and it's about a lot more potential and a lot more breakthrough energy coming through. There's a little more, or a lot more energy and enthusiasm that comes in with this. So this is where you're again drawing attention to yourself in this month. I do feel like you are able to attract the things that you want. I think that you have the ability to really manifest what you want, put some energy and time into something, and it just, you know, creates, it unlocks your personal potential as well when you start lining yourself up with your talents or the people that you need in your life, that kind of thing. It's like you acting like your own beacon because you're believing in yourself. So other people are starting to realize they can feel your energy, they can see your energy. And so just by virtue of, you know, that energy of belief in oneself, you shine a little bit brighter, and that attracts people to you. But it also attracts, you know, those that are they're quite jealous. So sometimes it's almost a better thing just to, you know, keep a humble sort of approach, but radiate the qualities into the world that you really want to shine. Those are the things that you want the world to be, and to really make that happen. Okay, so I just wanted to read a little bit here too, just as far as, it was kind of an Osho book about transforming ourselves. And I don't know if I can find all the fine points here, but it was really a good, it was just something about the wounds, and, you know, that we would like to have them healed. I'm just trying to kind of go through where it was here in the book. But it's, anyway, there's a line in here that, you know, you wonder sometimes if you really want to let go of your problems. And because a lot of times it's cathartic to sit in that energy and say, well, they did this. Yes, they did that. And it doesn't mean that they wronged you because you weren't worthwhile. A lot of times, if it's a person or if it's a business, like I said, whatever the significant partnership or whatever the significant thing was that stood in your way here, it's more about, you know, they needed to grow in a certain way, and so that you were pushed out of that situation so they could grow in a particular way. So that really boils down to you learning to accept that this person has their own journey as well, and they need to struggle and learn through their own patterns, you know, enable for them to find their own identity. And identifying with the struggle is important, but it's also, you have to drop what feels, you know, unhealed, because enable to heal it, like I said, you have to embrace it and realize that, you know, this isn't really about you. It's really about the other person not being able to find themselves in a situation because they're not ready to move into that. So the other part of it is too, And again, I just can't seem to, I should write this down before I do it. Anyway, it's remembering all negative emotions and energy, and remembering that that just drains you. All your positive emotions and positive attitudes are dynamos of energy, so they are what create more energy, obviously. And that expression, when you laugh, the whole world laughs with you. When you weep alone. And it is true. It's, when you're like a rock sitting dead with your sadness, you're just nursing your sadness. Nobody's with you. Nobody can be with you. It says there simply comes a gap between you and life. And that's just you wasting energy and being drained. Anyway, I think what I'm gonna do is I will point out some of those really significant parts and do them in a future read rather than kind of stumble through it here. But anyway, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight of where you're at right now. And again, you got a lot of positive energy coming through here. It's time for you to celebrate, because you do have some kind of, rewarding energy coming through, both emotionally, and again, you're on a new path, new job, whatever it is there. But again, the energy is still very successful, and it does speak to you. With the Three of Swords in the Tower, that's where you need to really connect with yourself again and just let go of all of the negativity. This is just a roundup cycle of, pain, loose ends of it. Anyway, that's what I have for you, Cancer. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. Keep moving forward, never give up, and enjoy this great energy that's going to be coming through this month. The attention, the stability, the support, and again, you are in manifestation mode, so things are going in your favor.